Good afternoon, everybody. It must be Wednesday. Stoveside Chats. Thank you for joining us. Have Chef Andrew Ullom on from Union Special Bakery in Raleigh. Just waiting for him to chime in. Let's see, next week on the show, hey, in Charlotte, thanks for joining us. Zach, thanks for joining us. Good to see you, man. Next week, we're going to have on the interview Heidi Bellotto, who is a wonderful person. She's a social media marketing genius. She does cooking shows and is a culinary educator, travels the state, highlighting North Carolina chefs in a restaurant and all kinds of cool ingredients. She has a website and a blog, and she stays super busy. Don't know how she does it all, but we'll be talking to her next week. After that, we have Chef Warren from Southern Pines, and a great restaurant, been there for a long time. Chef Warren's Bistro, I think it's been there since the late 80s. Really, really great place. And then the last week of this month, we have Natalie Woolard and her son Nick Dotson will be joining us from NLN Crawfish Farms in Chakawinty. I think I'm saying that right. It's in Beaufort County, down on the coast. So we'll be talking to those guys. Just waiting for Chef Andrew to join us. Hopefully he'll be here pretty soon. Let's see. Oh, last week on the show we had Chef Bobby Zimmerman of True Blue in Wilmington. That was a great interview. I forgot to mention that he is going to be one of our featured chefs that we're highlighting for the Seafood Festival. The Seafood Festival in its physical form has been canceled this year. We are continuing our sponsorship. The Department of Agriculture will continue its sponsorship to help produce and promote the virtual chef's tent, which will be 4 different chefs, Bobby being one of them, Chef Keith Rhodes from Catch, Chef Zach Gregg from Locals Seafood, and Chef Jeremiah Tryon from Blue Ocean Market down in the Morehead City area. Will be chef as well. So the plan is to have 4 different videos that we'll release, one each week of October. There's Chef. So I'm going to invite him in. Hey, Laughing Spell, for joining us. All right, we're just waiting on Chef Andrew to come in. But anyway, so we're going to be doing these boxes in conjunction with the produce box out of Raleigh, where you'll be able to watch a video of the chef and get a produce box with those ingredients to be able to cook along with the chef. So we'll have more of that information as we get closer to that. We're still waiting on Chef. Chef, I know that you're trying to get connected here. It says on the bottom of my screen that we're waiting. So hopefully it'll be just a few more seconds. So yeah, that's what's going on now. And obviously there was an announcement made last week about the state fair being canceled this year. So hopefully we'll be back on track to do these all these events across the state which we love doing. Oh, okay. Let me try one more time, Chef. It says you're unable to join, but let me try it again. Sorry, guys. Hang on one second. What if he's under that one?
There we are.
Hey, Chef. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. You're sideways though. There you go.
There we go.
Perfect, man.
How's everybody?
Thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to do it.
So for those tuning in, Chef Andrew Ullom from Union Special in Raleigh. So Chef, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you come from Canton, Ohio to North Carolina, and what led you to where you are today?
I'm first and foremost very happy to be from Canton, Ohio, but very happy to not live in Canton, Ohio anymore. I went to culinary school in Columbus, Ohio, and did an internship at the Greenbrier in West Virginia shortly after that. And my wife and I were really excited to continue to move south. And we moved to Durham originally, and I feel more at home in Eastern North Carolina than I ever have anywhere else. And so we set down roots here and had a family, and we have a 4-year-old that keeps us very busy now. And so the restaurant that we have here was the next logical step for us. And I had worked with Ashley Christensen for a good number of years in downtown Raleigh as her executive pastry chef, and really fell in love with bread and the process of natural fermentation more than anything else. And that's really what piqued my interest from there. So we tried, and I think are somewhat successful in building a restaurant concept around that.
Yeah. Now, so I went to culinary school also, but I don't bake like you do. So how did you bridge that gap?
I have a real affinity for math and science, and my first attempts at real college were as a biochemistry major. And so the ways in which we go about baking and the ways in which we think about fermentation are based a lot in practical knowledge, but also I do a fair amount of reading. And so we are really lucky here in Raleigh to be about 45 minutes from Lindley Mills. So we have a really wonderful relationship and a close relationship with our miller, which is extremely important. And we talk to them on terms that we both understand. So we definitely made a lot of doorstops before we had a really good loaf of bread. So I'm about 12 years into my professional baking experience, and years 1 and 2 were not good. So I think we have the same amount of experience that a lot of folks do, but I think that we get really nerdy about it, and I think that first and foremost, the team that we have here at Union is really pretty incredible. Maria Luna is our head baker, and as far as I'm concerned, she's one of the best bakers in the state. And what we're trying to do here at Union is to give folks a space where they're comfortable to come in and work 8 hours, go home, and and deal with their own personal lives. The atmosphere that we have gives folks the ability to make their own decisions, and talk about our different processes amongst themselves, and then come to Maria and I and say, hey, I think we need to change something. And so the collaborative effort here with the bakery and with the kitchen is pretty awesome. So it's not just one train of thought that really keeps things going here. It's a real team effort. I have the very lucky position of just being the litmus and making sure that things kind of pass the mustard. But we definitely have a lot of people here that take a pretty massive amount of pride in their work, and that's really what keeps this thing going. So,
yeah. You mentioned how important your employees are. You don't just talk about it; you walk the walk as well. You're a pretty progressive-minded fella, and I know that your establishment is an employee-first restaurant. Talk about that a little bit and how important that is.
Yeah, I had a lot of I had a really great job that I left with Ashley, and I learned a lot about what it means to work as a team there, and we carried a lot of that over. My main goal here is to work within a space that not only our employees can work a pretty decent schedule, that also bleeds into my own personal life. And I'm not shy about saying the fact that bakers work 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. is selfish. I don't want to cover a shift at 3 o'clock in the morning or 11 o'clock at night. And I don't want to ask anybody to do anything here that I don't necessarily want to do. I've worked overnight before and it sucks, but you do learn a lot. And so what we're trying to do here is to run a restaurant in such a way that allows the pride that people take, the good time that they're having at work, the ability to work one job, which is super important for us, and I think everybody here only works one job, which is pretty insane. But what we want to do is we want to give people the ability to come to work, earn a paycheck, and go home and not necessarily have to worry about their bills. And what that does, and reinvesting in our people, that bleeds over into guest service. That bleeds over into the quality of the food that's coming out of the cafe, the quality of the baked goods that are coming out of the kitchen. So it's investing in our people, but it is paid off in spades with the general day-to-day operations here. Our labor is consistent with industry standards, and so is our food costs. So I'm certainly one on my own personal social media to get on a pretty loud soapbox and get pretty gnarly, but I think here we can also really encourage a lot of folks to pay a living wage, and by doing so you eliminate the need to spend additional money on training and turnover, and those things are crazy expensive. So we do it first and foremost because it allows me to sleep at night, but second, we do it to look at it from a standpoint of keeping our bottom line clean.
Yeah, that's really cool. Do you know Seth Gross over in Durham, Bull City Tap and Pompiera Pizza?
I've not met Seth, no.
I'm about to put you guys in touch, man. You guys would have a lot to talk about.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, tell us about the name Union Special. Where'd that come from?
Union Special is actually an old sewing machine. My wife has a business called Hawks and Dubs, which is a pretty well-established business here in Raleigh. And she has wanted to own a Union Special machine for quite some time, and they actually do have one that works down at Raleigh Denim that's currently in use. Union Special for us is something that's pretty on the nose. I do have ambitions to advocate for hospitality workers unionizing here in the state of North Carolina, and I know that we have a lot to do politically before that's available, but Union is a place that is really on the nose of being centered on our workforce here, and we wanted a name that was not so much a name that was really indicative of a bakery. Our Instagram handle's Union Special Bread, but that's because Union Special was taken. So, but the name on the door is Union Special. This is it's a bakery, but it's also a cafe. It's a really cool spot to hang out and grab a good bite to eat. But the food and the baked goods and the reason that we're here is to try and bring community together. So, as far as it goes, when we were seating folks inside, all of our tables are communal, and I don't care who you are or what your background is, we want you to be able to eat the same food with different people and to share experiences with folks that may or may not come from similar backgrounds as yourself. And I think that's a really important portion of this concept, and something that is going to carry a lot of restaurant folks through is to say that the future of the restaurant business is, in my mind, is a hopeful future, and understanding now that there's a lot of folks that are not as lucky as we are because we are currently busy. But I do think that the future of restaurant dining and in-person dining is something that needs to be more centered around the idea of food being something that starts a conversation and really accents an experience rather than being the experience itself. And we are certainly proud of the food that we cook, and behind closed doors, we are, pretty certain that we're doing the best job that we possibly can here. But as far as it goes, when we set up the dining room and we set up this concept, we wanted this place to be a space where we set everyone up to have a good time, and we just allow that to happen. We don't get in the way. We don't have, dedicated front of house staff that are service-minded and table-minded. We have a really great general manager and a few really dedicated folks up front to help us. But as far as that goes, that allows us to spread out the tip share that we get. So everybody in the building makes the same amount. So dishwashers and cooks and people up front, everybody right now, I think the last payroll that we ran is $17.50 an hour. So that is, again, it's propped up by a tip share, but we guarantee $15 an hour here. So if the tip share falls a little short, then we make sure that we make it up. But the way in which we're doing that and the name that we used is kind of a framework for just the way that we run our own business.
Yeah, it's a great name with lots of different great special meanings to it, and it's encouraging that you're employee and worker focused. I think that's really, really important. Now, you guys have a birthday coming up soon, right?
We do.
August 10th?
Monday next week, which is pretty.
Next Monday. You guys have an event. Tell us about that.
We do. We're going to have James Sampson from Corner Boys Barbecue come and Crystal from a really rad business called Mama Salsa, and Kaylin and James and Crystal and I set up a menu where we're working with Maria and Marby to create a menu that celebrates the food and the last year that we have, but also lets James do the work that he's the best at. And so what we're doing is we're taking a lot of proteins from James, and we're going to take a lot of sauce work from Crystal and kind of pair that all together. And so the main focus of this is to raise money, and we're going to donate 100% of the sales to an organization here in North Carolina called Safe Child. And Safe Child works with families and children in different ways, and they work to keep families together, but they also work to take care of children that are in crisis situations. And they're in pretty desperate need of funds, any given day, and especially now because of the pandemic that we're experiencing. Safe Child's a really wonderful organization, and they do a lot of really great work. That's the main focus of the dinner that we want to have. The other portion of that is to have some fun, and I think that it is really important for us to acknowledge that self-care is important, that we need to be able to have fun at the job that we're choosing to call a career, and it gives us a different step to be able to cleanse our palate, so to speak, where we're not going to make 250 egg sandwiches in a weekend like we normally do. I'm really, really, really excited about the food that's going to come up. I think I'm only responsible for one dish, which is really great. Maria is throwing together some really great strawberry pudding that's kind of a twist on banana pudding. There is a little bit of a riff on Pat Martin's redneck taco with a hoe cake and collard greens and some pulled pork, and I think it's just going to be a lot of fun. We also have an ice cream machine that's finally working. It's taken us about a year to get that program rolling, but I think the important thing to acknowledge with all of this is to say that we haven't necessarily changed our business practices, and I think that is important for other restaurant owners to understand. These are really weird times and really strange times, but getting up and going to work and trying to figure something out is the best way about going through all of this. Again, we're in a really lucky position that we make bread and we make croissants, and these are things that are comforting for folks right now, and we are here to provide that comfort and here to provide the community with some support, and we're forever grateful for the reciprocal support that the community gives us.
Yeah. So we just have a few minutes left. I did want to touch on I know you're really dedicated to using local ingredients and products, Lindley Mills, and I know that you work with my buddy Randy over at Ramloo Dairy. Tell us a little bit about the project, the Heirloom Butterbean project you guys have working.
Yeah, we're working with a farmer, Andrew Brown, and his daughter, Sharonda Brown, in Murfreesboro, and one of our investors actually connected us with a group called the Cultivator Bookmobile, and Caroline Stevenson is the director of that nonprofit, and it's a small farm project in Murfreesboro. It's a really wonderful collection of African-American farmers that are absolutely encyclopedic about food and dirt, for the lack of a better phrase. And what we want to do is to try and prop up minority-owned businesses if we're able to, and to show that Eastern North Carolina, especially Northeastern North Carolina, can produce some really amazing produce. The project that we're working on is with Reverend Taylor Butterbean specifically, and these butterbeans date back to 1810 or 1820 in southern Alabama. I think it's really wonderful to showcase a really amazing ingredient that is named after someone that is, for all intents and purposes, someone that was not a fan of African American farmers at the time, and have someone that is a minority-owned farm and a minority-owned business to kind of turn that whole thing on its head. And what we're trying to do is to look at different ways to shorten our supply chains. And I think that Union Special as a company make sure that we buy locally whenever we can with respect to produce, but we also want to prop up local manufacture, because we know that keeping our money local spends with a lot more impact rather than spending money overseas. The Butterbean project is really cool, and it's actually started a small initiative with the city of Raleigh and Blackwelder, North Carolina, and Johnny Hackett to start to survey local restaurants. And I think we're going to put together a small group of maybe 10 or 15 spaces to say, outside of the normal eggplant and tomato and cucumber and bell pepper growth, what do you want to buy that you can't normally find at the market? And this group of farmers in Murfreesboro and Eastern North Carolina and other minority-owned farms that we're going to identify through this project are going to be able to set up written agreements with restaurants, or with a co-op of restaurants rather, to say, we're definitely going to grow X amount of cayenne chilies that we need here at Union Special for next year. We're going to guarantee that payment and give that farmer a portion of that plowed land that they know will sell. And so, one, it's amazing because we're going to be able to basically trace back whatever projects we're going to use this produce for to a single field, which is the most hip thing I've ever been able to do in my entire life. But the business and really the staff came together and said that we wanted to spend at least 20% of the money that we're running the business on, goods and services, for Black-owned business. And we want to do that by the end of this year. And this is a portion of that initiative with Union Special. And I think that it's something that really hits close to home, where we can identify people, we can identify what we want to buy, and then just put two and two together and have it work. So
that's great. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate all you do to help look after your employees and your customers and the farmers and stuff, and building those strong relationships. So folks, unionspecialbread.com, go there. You can check out the menu. You can order online. You can donate. I know you guys are doing meal kits now. So again, thank you very much for being here. I want to give you a call. I want to talk to you more about that heirloom butterbean deal a little bit longer.
Yeah, man. There's going to be a bunch of butterbeans available.
Cool. I'll give you a call next week, man. We'll set up a time.
For sure. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye. All right, Chef Andrew Ullom from Union Special, doing some really cool stuff. Very forward-thinking guy. Love the fact that he is an employee-first restaurant. As we've seen in the last few months, restaurant workers are super, super important. So we need to consider that when we go out to eat, when we go to tip, and that sort of thing. All right, thank you everyone who has joined today, and we'll see you next week. We'll have Heidi Bellotto from Heidi Bellotto Foods in Charlotte with us. Looking forward to it. Thank you.